You are welcome to Literature Hub 247. This is a literature channel where the arts and science of literature are discussed. If you are new on this channel, I want you to subscribe to the channel by just clicking on the subscription button there so that you have access to all my videos whenever I release them. Today, we are discussing an African poem titled The Song of the Women of My Land, composed by Oumar Farouk Sesay. This poem is a historical poem because it has to do with the civil war that took place in Sierra Leone some years back. So it is born out of that civil war. Let's go ahead and appreciate the poem. The title of the poem once again is The Song of the Women of My Land. Let's first of all go to the background story to the poem. That is, the events that took place that gave birth to the poem. The poem is born out of the civil war in Sierra Leone between 1991 and 2002. The war began on 23rd March 1991 when the Revolutionary United Front (RUF) with support from the National Patriotic Front of Liberia (NPFL) forces led by Charles Taylor of Liberia attempted to overthrow Joseph Momo's government. This resulted in a civil war that lasted for 11 years and over 50,000 people lost their lives. The population of Sierra Leone then was about 6 million. The bone of contention there was the diamond that the country was endowed with. Women and children, being the most vulnerable, were the most affected. Women were forced into sexual slavery and forced marriages, while young ladies were captured, raped, and forced to take up arms. Quote and unquote, the song of the women of my land is a metaphor, and the song there refers to the travails and the horrendous abuses the women passed through during the war, which they may not even like to reminisce about. So that's just the background story to the poem. Now, I identify some expressions in the poem, some words or expressions in the poem, and I give the poetic meaning as they are used in the poem so that you can understand the poem better. So before we go to that, let's first go through the text of the poem. The Song of the Women of My Land by Oumar Farouk Sesay. Like a sculpture chipping away at bits of wood, time chisels away bits of their memory. It strips away lyrics of the song of the women of my land, leaving only a fading tune echoing the song. They sang in forlorn faiths about their lives' songs, of how they plow the terrain of their mindscape for memories of lyrics lost in the vast void of time. In those days when the song beheld their lives, where servitude curved the ankles of their soul, and dereliction decapitated epic of their lives. With a song they sprung of their anguish, to behold their collective pain, to celebrate their gains, give lyrics to the tune of their lives, chill the tyranny of time, and commune with the yet unborn, to give meaning to an epoch in antiquity. Yet time stripped the lyrics and scars the tune, leaving a dying song dead, like the women who died long ago. Leaving the song to tell the story of their lives, Today, the two roam the forlorn fields, like their souls looking for lyrics, to tell the tale of the servitude of the women of my land, who plough their soil and soul, for a song to sing the story of their lives, the song of the women of my land, left in the memory of the wind, now feeding the verses of the poet. It echoes in the fields, wriggling in rhythms and melodies, howling in distant tones, in places far away from the forlorn fields, where the song of their lives died. The stuttering lips of my pen and the screeching voice of my name try to sing the song of the women of my land, in verses far from the theatre of toil, where they left a song that now roams the land, stripped of lyrics like a scorned ghost, the tune tuning the tenor of my verse is all that remains of the song of the women of my land, who labored and died, leaving a dying song, the dirge of their lives. So that is the text of the poem. Now, these are the difficult words and expressions that are identified in the poem, and I give these meanings according to the usage, according to the way they are used in the poem. So I call it the poetic meaning of the difficult words and expressions in the poem. This is what we call contextual meaning in English language. The first one there is sculpture. The sculpture is a person who is involved in carving or shaping wood, stone, or metal. In Yoruba, they call them agbegilere. Chipping, according to the poem, it means small pieces of stone or wood. Chisels, to cut or shape wood or stone. Strips, to take off. Forlorn, a place where something tragic occurred. Plowed, to turn over. Terrain means thought. Mindscape means mind. Vast, extremely large in amount. Void, empty space. Servitude is a condition of being forced to obey another person. Slavery, in brackets. Curved, grieved. Dereliction, that is inactivity, neglect. Decapitated, shortened. Epic, long story. Sponged off, removed. Anguish, suffering. Tyranny means wickedness or unfairness. Commune, to share emotions and feelings. Epoch, a period of time in history. Antiquity is an object from ancient times. Scars, a permanent feeling of great sadness. Lyrics, the words of a song. Echoes, repeats. Wriggling, incoherent. Howling, shouting. Affid, far. Stuttering, stammering. Screeching means unpleasant sound. Name is the meta point of a pen. That is the point where we used to write. Theater means place. Scorn, despite. Tenor, low tone. Dirge means a slow, sad song. Now, let's now go to the analysis of the poem. That is the content of the poem. Now, this poem is a reference to the civil war in Sierra Leone between 1991 and 2002, and it discusses the women of Sierra Leone and the agonies they passed through during the war. The first 4 lines of the poem reveal to us that the work took place some years back, and that the memory of what happened then is gradually fading away from them. That's what we have in the first 4 lines. It compares the way time has made them to forget the degrading events with a sculpture chipping away at bits of wood. That is, it compares the way they have forgotten what happened then to that of a sculpture. Let's quote from the poem. Quote, like a sculpture chipping away at bits of wood, time chisels away bits of their memory. Unquote. That means they have forgotten some of the things that happened then. The third stanza, lines 5 to 11, takes us to the arena of the war to reveal to us some of the inhuman treatment the women were exposed to. Due to this cruel treatment by the warriors, their minds were disorganized that it was difficult for them to think like normal human beings. That is, they were greatly persecuted. They were dehumanized. The women were enslaved, sexually abused, and forced into marriages. The ladies among them were also raped and forced to take up arms. The first stanza, lines 12 to 18, is about the women singing about what they were passing through during the war to bring a little succor to them and ease them of the agonies and pains that had been meted on them. This song also serves as a reminiscence for the generation yet unborn to fall back to know what happened during the war. Hence, the war has become an quote-unquote antiquity, which is an object from an ancient time. That is, the song has become an antiquity that will be fall back to by the generations yet unborn. In lines 19 to 23, the poet makes reference to the effect of time on the song again. He says that time has taken away some of the words of the song and also makes them forget some of the ugly experiences they passed through during the war. This makes the song die, and he compares it with some of the women that did not survive the war to tell the story, but left back the song to tell the story for them. That is, some of the men lost their lives during the war. So it's now the song that's now left behind to tell the story. Quote, yet time stripped the lyrics and scarce the time, leaving a dying song dead. Like the women who died long ago, leaving the song to tell the story of their lives. Unquote. In lines 24 to 31, the poet expresses how difficult it is to remember now vividly what the women passed through while being enslaved and dehumanized on their own land. It is difficult to remember because it was not documented in any form. The next stanza, that is lines 32 to 36, is about the content of this poem. That the lyrics of the song of the women of his land now form the incoherent verses of the poem that is written not in the local language but in the foreign language, that is English, and composed outside the country, Sierra Leone. This tells us that this poem was composed outside Sierra Leone using a foreign language, that is English. The next stanza, lines 37 to 45, is about the experiences of the poet while composing this poem. He found it difficult to write the lyrics coherently in the foreign language. Hence, his quote, strip of lyrics like his congos, unquote. That is, he found it difficult to find the appropriate register word to be used in English in composing that poem. He thereby concludes that the women suffered a lot, died, and the people are gradually forgetting what they passed through. The poet says that this poem, quote, is all that remains of the song of the women of my land, unquote. This poem serves as a reminiscence for the inhuman treatment the women were exposed to at that time. So that's the interpretation of the poem. That's the content of the poem. Now, these are the themes identified from the poem. First one is forgetfulness. This poem opens on the note of forgetfulness in the first 4 lines. The event took place some years back, so time has taken away a bit of their memory to remember all they experienced then. This also had effects on the poet while composing the poem that he couldn't write coherently. Another one is inhumanity. The women were exposed to all forms of inhuman treatment by the warriors. The women were enslaved, raped, incapacitated, and forced into marriage. The ladies also experienced all sorts of abuse. They were raped and forced to take up arms. The women were physically and spiritually dehumanized. We also have the theme of succor. When women were in great agony to bring a little succor to themselves, they made a song of their horrendous experiences so that they would not feel the effects of the cruelty meted out on them. They feel that they need succor, and that's why they take to the song. Message. This song, quote unquote, of theirs that contains their ugly experiences serves as a message to the generation yet unborn. Those that did not witness the events can fall back at the song, quote unquote, to know what happened then. So the song serves as a message to the generation yet unborn. There's also the theme of death. In the course of maltreating the women, a lot of death was recorded, as not all of them survived the tyranny. Many were raped to death, and the ladies that were forced to take arms and fight were killed because they were not trained to fight war. Let's quote from the poem. Like the women who died long ago, leaving the song to tell the story of their lives. Last but not the least is vulnerability. The women and the children were the most affected entity during the war because they are the most vulnerable in any society. So let's now go to the poetic devices used in the poem. The first one is simile. This is the comparison of two things with the use of like and as. And we have this in lines 1 to line 22, 25, and 42. We can check it so that we don't waste a lot of time here. We also have alliteration. This one is well used in the poem, and we can find them in lines 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 19, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 35, 36, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. So in some of the lines it is used just partially, maybe 2 or 3 words in a line. There's also the use of personification. In stanza 1 and 2, time is given the attributes of a living thing, that it chisels away the memory of the people, that they forget the lyrics of the song of the women in the poem. It is also used in lines 9, 10, and 11 thus. In line 9, in those days when a song beheld their lives. And line 10, when servitude curved the ankles of their soul. Line 11, and religion decapitated epic of their lives. Stanza 5 is also full of personification. Time and song, quote and unquote, are given the attributes of a living thing. We have it, that's lines 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. You can check it. In stanza 6, lines 24, 25, and 26. Tune, quote and unquote, is given the attributes of a living thing. So you can check them. You can check it there in lines 24, 25, and 26. Personification is widely used in stanza 7 and 8. In stanza 7, lyrics of the women is personified as, quote, feeding the verses of the poet, unquote, wriggling in rhythm and melodies, quote and unquote, howling in distant tones, quote and unquote. And also in line 36 of the same stanza, song, quote and unquote, is also personified. It is given the attribute died, quote and unquote. That is, where the song of their lives died. In stanza 8, the pen of the poet is well given the attributes of a living thing to illustrate the difficulties the poet encountered in writing the lyrics of the song in another language. We have it in line 37, the stuttering lips of my pen, line 38, and the screeching voice of my name. Also, line 39, try to sing the song of the women of my land. That is referring to his pen. We also have the use of metaphor. We have it in line 7, 12, 16, 18, 24, 28, 35, 40, 46. Also, we have the use of imagery. This is an imaginative language that produces pictures in the minds of the people reading or listening. We have the use of agricultural images in line 7 and 28 of the poem. Line 7, quote, of how they plow the terrain of their mindscape. 28, who plow their soil and soul. You see that when we are reading these lines, we are having the picture, we have the mental picture of what we are reading. That is what imagery does. The poem also runs online, so we have enjambment. If we look at the poem critically, we shall see that the poem runs online. The sense expressed in a line extends to the other lines. There is also the use of refrain or repetition. There is repetition of the song of the women of my land in lines 3, 30, 39, and 44. The word memory is repeated in lines 2, 8, and 31. The word forlorn is repeated in lines 5, 24, and 35. Away, quote and unquote, is repeated in the first 3 lines to show the extent of which the memory is being lost. Song, quote and unquote, is also repeated 14 times in the poem in lines 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 20, 23, 29, 30, 36, 39, 41, 44, and 45. The word lyrics, quote and unquote, is repeated 6 times in the poem in lines 3, 8, 15, 19, 25, and 42. We also have the use of parallelism. This is placing phrases or sentences of similar construction and balance side by side or one after the other to maintain the balance or reinforce each other, as we have in lines 13 and 14 of this poem. Let's quote it. Line 13 and 14. To behold their collective pain, that's line 13. Now 14, to celebrate their gains, that is parallelism. Also, symbolism. This is the representation of a concept through symbols. In lines 1 and 2 of the poem, the symbols of sculpture, quote and unquote, and chisels, quote and unquote, are used to explain how far they have forgotten the lyrics of the song of the women. Like in line 1, we have like a sculpture chipping away at bits of wood. And 2, time chisels away bits of their memory. So that is the appreciation of the poem. We have done justice to the poem. So as I said earlier, if you are new on this channel, try and subscribe so that you have access to all my videos, and you are free to share my videos on any social media platform, be it Facebook, Twitter, or WhatsApp, or whatever. And you can also invite your friends to join us here because we have a lot to discuss. If you have any question on literature in English, you can send it through the message box and I will answer the question right away. So you can also visit our website for any literature material you need. That is www.literaturehub247.com. Again, www.literaturehub247.com for our ebooks. So when you search for it, just click on bookshop, and we take you to this page. This is where we have our ebooks. This one is on JAM 2022 and 23. It covers the syllabus. This one covers the past questions, 2021 past questions, both for WAEC and NECO. This one is for 2022 WAEC and NECO past questions. And this one is a background knowledge to literature that contains the general knowledge about literature. This is our simplified poetry. It contains all the 12 poems, and it is simplified as it is titled. This is a simplified drama and prose that contains the analysis of all the drama and the prose text. And this one contains 140 likely examination questions and answers. Just click on download and follow the instruction. So, thank you, and God bless you as you are following this channel.